And now to introduce John Chen, please welcome my friend Steve Capelli to the stage. Steve is the CEO of mLogica. Steve?
Thank you, Alex, and thank you for the council for holding such a great event. I had the pleasure of working with John for many years, and tonight we'll see the video about his business accomplishments and we'll see his philanthropy, but I wanted to give you some insight to his virtues and the impact he had on so many people that work for him. First of all, I think it's unique that someone like John would take on the responsibilities of turnaround situations. And we had some laughter tonight about how people enjoyed their BlackBerry, but BlackBerry was a very unusual situation. It was days away from going bankrupt when John took the assignment. So I just wanted to say that someone who would put themselves in that situation is a special person. Now, when I worked with him, I never saw him down. And even in the most adverse situations, he always had a sense of going forward and what we need to do from here. And I attribute that to his youth. He played a card game where everybody was dealt the same hand. And ultimately, the winner is the person who does the best with that hand. And that's how John valued his job. You know, what's best for the shareholders, what's best for the company, how do we treat our employees, and how do we move forward? So I attribute that, really, that card game to a lot of John's personal success. John set a very high standard for work ethic. He was available all the time. And I'm sure he has family members here. Some of that was at their detriment. But I'll tell you, we appreciated it as employees. And I can recall sometimes leaving my office to go visit John in his office at the end of the night. And John would be working on email because he believed that every email needs to be done before you go home. And I don't recall him even canceling a meeting. He would move from the most challenging events to the most simplest things through the day, nonstop. Really appreciate it. And one of the things is John was a good teacher. And one of the things he taught me was, don't just listen to what people say or read what they say. Listen and learn why they're saying it. And I had an example of that myself. Now, naturally, he taught me and I played it back to him. When I was asked to run all of the sales for the company, John asked me, Steve, where do you think marketing should report to? And I thought instantly, he's not asking me where marketing should report to. He's asking me, are you going to be okay with marketing not reporting to you? And naturally, I said, look, if you put in a troubled company, if you put marketing with sales, they're going to say engineering's the problem. But if you put marketing with engineering, they're going to make sales the problem. And I thought it was in our best interest at that time. John was politically correct before it was fashionable. I will tell you this. I don't recall him saying a disparaging word about anyone. He never judged how people looked. He never judged where they were from. He only took into consideration what contribution they were making. And when he did talk to you about where you had to do better, he did it in a kind way. And I really appreciated that, and I know all the other employees did. John was able to build great teams. And we worked together as a team with one interest, which is don't worry about your career, don't worry about your salary. Let's worry about the company, and those other items will take care of themselves. And probably the greatest legacy of those who worked with him was the longevity that we had working with him. I worked with him since 1992 in 3 companies. And yet, I know people who have worked with him for 4 decades and only 4 companies. So not only were the employees loyal to him, but he was loyal to the companies themselves. Now lastly, John had a wonderful sense of humor. And one of them is really around the loyalty piece. And occasionally he would remind us from the Eagles song, Hotel California, which is, you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. So with that, I just want to, let's learn more about John Chen. Thank you very much.
When John Chen took over as CEO of Bay Area software maker Sybase in 1998, many in the tech industry had largely declared it dead after a series of strategic and business missteps. Little did the experts and pundits know, those were just the kind of doomsaying declarations that energized and motivated Chen.
I'm one of those people that really likes to root for underdog. That really is about the challenge.
Over the next 14 years, Chen would lead a remarkable turnaround at Sybase, dramatically reimagining and reinventing the company. And by the time he orchestrated its sale to German tech giant SAP in 2012, Sybase had gone from near death to being worth almost $6 billion. It wouldn't be the last time Chen engineered a similarly impossible turnaround. Chen was born in Hong Kong, and his parents, like many of their generation across Asia, focused their son's education on math and engineering as the means to success and prosperity. The intellectually gifted Chen would later earn degrees in electrical engineering from prestigious Brown University and Caltech, before taking on a series of engineering and similar roles in the tech industry, from the late 70s to the early 90s. But another big challenge would spur Chen to alter his career trajectory from the engineering ranks to the executive suite.
I didn't like the fact that everybody stereotyped engineers, especially engineers from Asia, as going to be engineer forever.
So, he set out purposefully to break the stereotype, training and educating himself in the management, communications, and other skills needed to become the executive who would later save Sybase. But Sybase was not Chen's last act. In 2013, Chen would embark on another impossible task that would cement his legend in Silicon Valley and the broader tech world as the ultimate turnaround artist. He took over BlackBerry, a Canadian technology company that had pioneered and dominated the smartphone market before losing its way and all of its market share. Over his 10-year tenure as CEO, Chen would reposition the company and return it to profitability. Many in the industry called it magic. For Chen, it all came down to hard work and execution, ruthless focus, maximizing strengths, and surrounding himself with people with what he calls winning attitude.
Winning attitude is not about how much resources I don't have, how big a turnover which I have, and you know, we should have invested in this. We should advertise more. We should have get the message out. Yes, all these things should have happened, but it's not. So it's up to us to make this thing still, you know, going some places. And that's the attitude.
Turning around failing companies isn't the only area where Chen has brought his winning attitude. He's served on the boards of Caltech, Disney, and Wells Fargo. He's been a powerful global voice for deepening and improving U.S.-China relations. And through his individual philanthropy and that of his companies, Chen has contributed significantly to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, food banks, and Operation School Bell, which helps prepare children for school. He also serves on the board of First Tea, which has helped improve the lives of millions of children globally.
We all have a responsibility to take care of the more unfortunate people.
For Chen, success in business, success in life, and success in helping others all goes back to that winning attitude.
You have to have that mindset. I'll make something happen.
It's something John Chen has been doing his entire life.
Please welcome to the stage Bay Area Council Hall of Fame honoree John Chen. To lead a conversation with John, I'm happy to introduce Sam Hawgood. He's a member of the Bay Area Council Executive Committee, and most importantly, he's the Chancellor of University of California, San Francisco. Sam?
First of all, I want to say congratulations to Ann and Sandy. And there was quite a bit of information about Sandy and how popular he was. And I want to let you know my interaction with Sandy. When I first met him, I mean, he was obviously a well-known icon. he invited me to his office for lunch to talk about Salesforce. And so I told my secretary that, boy, this got to be at least a great lunch. Such wealthy person. Anyway, so I went to, I guess it's called Treasure Island. Is that right?
Yes.
So I went to his office, and and then he said, after he gave me a tour, he said, okay, let's go to lunch. And I thought, oh, okay. So I follow him, and he took me to the cafeteria. And those of you who work at Treasure Island and the areas, they don't really, they're very convenient, but they don't really serve great food. But anyway, I really were very fond of Sandy, and we had a really great time together.
Yeah. Well, as was pointed out, he was a great friend of mine and a great supporter of UCSF. And before we go to the first question, I just want to make sure that you're not under the impression in our asking you to join the board of the Children's Hospital that we're in need of a turnaround, King. We just need to help us continue to grow and thrive. But my first question is about Silicon Valley. And let me say, if you were offered the job as the CEO of Silicon Valley, would you think of that job as a turnaround, given where we are today, as a turnaround job or as a growth and sustaining job? How do you think the current state of Silicon Valley is in terms of innovation and entrepreneurship?
So I at the reception, I ran into Bill Gates. So Bill's still here, right? If he's still here, he said, I don't want to be, learning how to say grace in front of the Pope. Okay, so to be serious about this, we have some challenges, but one thing that opened my eye, I retired November of 23, and one thing that opened my eyes was I've seen a lot of different startup companies. So the ideas and the people and the drive and the entrepreneurism and all that still very much exists in our life. So that's really thankful for. I think the leakage, or I guess they call it the brain drain, the leakage of talents and where the next set of talent is going to come from to feed this machine, I think that's concerning. Now, with that there's a lot of work that the Bay Area Council is doing, should be doing, and will be doing, and the government needs to collaborate with it, particularly the states. And one of the major areas that I would take a look at it is to make sure that fiscally we put enough money behind creating the next generation people that fuel this engine. So other than that, it's not a big turnaround on any sorts, but there are some signs of weakness showing.
Great. And you talked about where the next talent is coming from, and you grew up in Hong Kong. I had the incredible pleasure of working there in 1977 and saw the energy and incredible talent there. And you've worked hard to improve and increase U.S.-Chinese relationships. Given the tensions around that relationship now, where do you think that's going, and what can we do? The Bay Area Council's very involved in China, and where do you think that's headed?
We are actually a sister company of Shanghai, right?
Right.
So if anybody tells you that they know anything about where U.S.-China is going to go with Trump 2.0, they're basically BSing you. I don't think we know. So on the spectrum of everything that a politician has been talking about, it varies from taking much more higher profile with Taiwan, for example, to removing or revoking PNTR, Permanent Normal Trade Relations, so that will eliminate China off from WTO, if it's doable, to the tariff, to the sanctions, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, there are various degrees of that. I think some of those are extremely dangerous, and some are not. And the reason I don't think we know is because there's another side of this thing, which is how the Chinese will respond. And how much do we really go? You know, if you take the tariff to 60%, what does that domestically impact our pricing of this country? So it's so convoluted, multi-dimensional chess set, and so many people involved, and egos. At the same time, you have a situation where the Chinese economy is in trouble, and it's publicly stated now. So I think it's hard to tell, but I am a optimist. I believe that we both know we need each other, right? And I believe that there will be a deal, so to speak, made so that we would de-escalate. And I know either people wants an armed conflict. I mean, it's one thing that tells us clearly the election that we just had is that this country is not ready and it's not open. Americans are not open to armed conflicts. So I'm hoping that that will continue and the politician will listen to it.
Well, I think our time is up, so I want to again congratulate you and thank you for being with us tonight.
Excellent. Thank you very much.